Alright then guys, welcome back to the channel known as Azure. As always, I am your most intriguing host, Daniel, followed by my almost as always by my co-host.
Julian.
And today we're going to be taking a little bit of another backtrack this time when we're talking about Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker's, my bad, Chris Tucker's Rush Hour. What the heck can I not talk today? Julian, explain why I can't talk.
You said Trick Tucker?
Yep, Chris Tucker.
Okay. What is it? Yeah, so he meant Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker in Rush Hour 1.
There we go. Thank you. Right off the bat, this film is pretty funny. Even nowadays, like even with all the whole racial jokes and everything too, like to me the jokes hold up because yeah, sure they're a little racy, but they're not over the top. Like, oh yeah, you do this, and this. Like no, they're little throwaway lines. Like, oh yeah, we're in Hollywood. You might see one of your cousins touring around, as Chris Tucker said to Jackie Chan. Because I mean, yeah, even nowadays you still see a whole bunch of Chinese, Asian, all the other people taking pictures of every single part of Hollywood. So
Not right now.
yeah, well, not right now.
This is gonna make the video dated, but in 2020, not the most.
Of course not, but still, like a good chunk of tourism is Asian population. That's what it is. So yeah, and plus Jackie Chan throws in some good black jokes in there too and everything, like saying how he likes to hear people talk shit, and that's what Chris Tucker mostly does for the majority of the movie. He kind of just talks shit.
Yeah, though one I'd say is that it's not really. For this movie, there's not really that much that could ever be that bad. The worst this movie could get for people, I could say maybe antiquated. It's not like something like if you watch Bad Boys or something, where you'd go like, oh yeah, this is
yeah, this is kind of
I don't know how they could not make a film like this anymore. I mean, I don't know. Well, I mean, have you watched Bad Boys 3?
No, I have not. I have not seen Bad Boys 3 yet.
Okay, I guess we'd have to see that then. But yeah, with the first two, which came out like around the same time as the first two Rush Hours, now those has some racy stuff and theming.
Oh yeah.
Where this is like, I mean, the worst. I guess. Wait, did Jackie said the word right?
Yeah, he said it. He said the N word. Yeah. Well, not.
Yeah.
He said it like how Chris Tucker said it, not with how everyone else thinks he's gonna say it.
Yeah. See, that's the worst that they could say, and it's like it's not that bad. But...
Yeah, even in the movie though, they show him getting repercussions like right after he says it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like that's the worst that happens. The rest is just kind of like I don't know.
Of course, and
a little bit racy, but not too bad.
Of course, but like that's the thing. Like with this movie, like the story is just so borderline basic, in a sense that oh yeah, we have this girl for ransom, give us some money, and it's like a buddy cop film. But it works so well in the fact that Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker play off each other, and have good chemistry in that same sense.
Yeah, it's still weird to think that in the third film, Chris gets with the little girl when she becomes an adult, though.
I kind of want to say no, but then again, I haven't seen the movie in a while. I know you did some research, but also I want to say there might be something that we missed when we looked it up. So
I'm pretty sure I remember that, but yeah, maybe until then, because we also got the other guy we were watching with to research. But yeah, it's like it is weird because like he met her when she's like 11, and he's already much older, and then it's just like and then the third film is just completely normal. That's just odd.
That's odd. So I want to say like we need to go back and watch the third film again.
And I think like any time this would have been made, that's kind of weird that the sequel would be like that.
Yeah, you think so?
Like if she was in her teens even, like maybe if she was like 14, 15 and then she became older, it'd be fine. But like she's still like in elementary or middle, right? In this?
Well, 11 years old, that'd basically be entering middle school.
Yeah, right? That's like 56. That's weird to be like, 10 years later, it's like, alright, I'm gonna like do stuff with you. That's like a weird one. The rest of it's pretty like normal stuff though. And like it's just a good run. It's just a Jackie Chan comedy, but like in America, good times. Like it's not as good as his like Chinese made stuff. It's not Meals on Wheels or like
not
Drunken
Police
Master.
Story or anything like that.
Yeah, like it's good stuff. He has good action. There's good comedy, but it's definitely more dated based off of the director's work and some other things like that.
So speaking of directors, man, I forgot Brett Ratner directed this movie. I was I was so focused on like this dude fucked up X-Men 3 The Last Stand. He has no good movies, but then you guys reminded me, oh yeah, he did Rush Hour, so fuck. Like, okay, he's decent at best, but still, I still can't get over the fact he ruined X-Men 3.
I mean, part of that is Fox. You gotta remember.
I know that, but I mean, come on, like, even without Fox, he kind of did half-ass it because he pushed the Dark Phoenix storyline to the side, and enforced like
Again,
pure-
he didn't want to do it, but Fox made him. Just like it's like that's like blaming Sam. That's like blaming
I know.
Sam Raimi for Spider-Man 3, even though he didn't want to do Venom because that wasn't his era. Because he read the comics like 20 years before Venom even existed.
Yeah,
And he just wanted to do Sandman.
I
It's
get
the
it.
same thing. He didn't want to do Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, I get it, but I mean, like, there's also the thing, like, he didn't direct the other two X-Men films, so no matter what, it was always gonna feel different, in a sense. So yeah, but with Sam Raimi, the difference is that he directed all three of them, but
Yeah.
with Brett Ratner, he only directed the last one, where Brian Singer
Really, the
directed
thing
1 and
is-
2.
Really, the thing is that there's this example with Rush Hour, right? So they didn't force him to do anything he didn't want to do.
Yeah,
So that's why you can tell that it's like, with some of these other movies, he does make something good. Just because those execs make someone do something bad doesn't mean
yeah, I understand that.
make
Yeah, that's
a
why.
bad film.
That's why before I knew anything about studio involvement, like when I was like 13 or something like that, I'm like, no, screw Brett Ratner, he's a shit director. But now I understand, like, oh yeah, okay, he's not terrible, but he's also not the best. I understand he had some slack from studio interference and everything. So yeah. Ah, man. Okay, what else was I gonna say? I kind of feel like, although in Rush Hour, like, they kind of pulled the cliche of like, oh yeah, this is the main bad guy, but no, this is actually the main bad guy. Like, no, they could have literally left it alone and that'd still be like just as good.
I
What you
mean,
think?
that's really not the. I mean, I guess this is a more serious film. I'd give it more credence, but since it's just a buddy cop comedy, like, it doesn't really like it does. I can see the fact that could be a small improvement.
Yeah,
And I know this isn't a greatest form of criticism, but like it doesn't really matter. And since it doesn't affect how Jackie or Chris like play off each other,
of course.
it's
yeah.
a very small, like almost a nitpick.
I know, that's why it's more of a nitpick thing.
thing.
Like I don't really care much about the villain. That's why that's in a sense. So yeah,
Yeah.
I kind of
Like
feel
the
like
fact that this movie isn't cop out already puts it above most buddy cop comedies.
yeah, I guess you're right. But yeah,
Now that's an example of a director absolutely hating working on film, if I remember correctly.
oh yeah, I remember like I didn't even see the movie, but I saw clips and everything. I was like, what the hell is going on in this movie? I didn't even see the whole thing. That's how bad it was.
Yeah, that's an example of how this movie might. There was some love put in there to it, and you could see that in the post credits.
Oh, of course, yeah, with the whole messing up the lines and everything, but they're just like
Yeah.
laughing about it. I mean, that's
Yeah,
what it is with
also
most post credits. So they just
bloopers.
laugh about forgetting their lines and shit.
Yeah, the bloopers, like how he
Yeah.
messed up the what's it called, the stunts, and he's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
whoa, I messed up the stunts.
Yeah. Another thing I'll give this movie franchise credit for is that their sequels are not terrible like how other comedy films
Hmm.
sequels are.
We still
Like,
gotta watch them again though to
Of course,
see
yeah.
if we had that.
because you still have like somewhat rose-colored glasses on, like, oh yeah, these things are perfect and everything, even though they're not really perfect. But I mean, from what we remember, probably they really still hold up to the original. Probably not 3, but 2 for sure. Like is almost on par like that.
Yeah, I mean, I've never thought they were masterpieces, but it's
course,
everything
yeah.
like I've always liked them, right? So as long as they're not bad,
Yeah,
like as long as it's not the kind of thing where I could see them and say I didn't like them or laugh at a single joke.
hmm
It's kind of hard for me to hate a comedy as long as I even laugh once or there's like a scene that's like kind of funny.
yeah, but that's just cool. That's just to show you, like, oh yeah, comedy movie sequels are so shit that they don't get people to laugh. Is that
Right,
these
like
movies
something
actually
like-
succeeded?
Like something like Epic Movie. Now that's a film where there's not even like one good scene where it's like that's just no one should watch that.
Damn. And here I actually laughed at Epic Movie because how dumb it was.
I mean that's different. That's because you want to see a trash fight. I'm saying like
I mean, yeah.
saying like unironically wanting to see it to laugh, right?
What about what's it called? Meet the Spartans. That made me laugh too because it was freaking stupid.
That's another one. Yeah, it's like I mean that's what they were aiming for. Whereas
Of
like this
course.
had some level of they were trying to set up jokes instead of saying, "Do you remember this movie?"
Oh yeah, dude, what
Yeah,
happened that year? Like,
but talking about this and how bad the later forms of those films are,
mhm.
I'd probably go into like that's probably if we ever do a review on like Airplane or Naked Gun by those guys.
Of course, yeah. But
Where it's
what-
like that's a higher comedy level,
Mhm.
and like with the later ones, cause I mean I still like Scary Movie and stuff.
Oh
but,
yeah,
like,
scary movie's still
but, like,
pretty funny.
at least like the first two.
Yeah.
But like definitely the later ones, it's like, or even movies nowadays that are comedic, like you can definitely see that like they're not
really all that
as
into it and
good.
everything. Like it's more just like a cash grab type scenario type thing.
Yeah, which is weird because you don't really need to try in comedies, but they try
Exactly.
even less, which is like that's the crazy part.
Of course, like most of the stuff like in comedy movies comes out naturally and stuff. Like when they mess up, they go with it and everything like that. That's what
Like
they usually do.
it makes me really appreciate these older films that might be considered works. Like it's weird to say, especially with something like I guess Rush Hour 3, which we need to watch again, or like Bad Boys, where like back then when there was better action or comedy movies,
Mhm.
I'd be like, these are not the best. You can watch better ones. But now when I look back on them, I'm going like, nah, I can appreciate what they did now. Actually, there is some like playing off of each other with like like Martin Lawrence and like Will Smith, or obviously Jackie or Chris Tucker. Whereas in these newer comedies, there's definitely that level of just like Adam Sandler and friends want to get a paycheck.
Yeah,
like
that's
literally,
true.
that's it. That is all. That is like 80% of the budget. Where in the other ones, they wanted to at least get into some form of a role and put some effort into
Mhm.
what they were doing, and like they know they're dumb, but they like still put the sincerity into
Okay.
being dumb.
Yeah, like no, even if you know you're being dumb, at least be the dumbest person you could be in that situation.
Like that's the one thing I'll appreciate with what Michael Bay said, is that he knows he makes like bad or really lowest common denominator movies, but he says like it keeps people employed, and everyone has a fun time making them.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, well, I mean, that's fine. That's
Yeah.
good. As long as
No, what you just said reminded me of like, something I read a while back I don't know if you remember I think it was Armageddon. That's the one where the drill team goes up to the asteroid, right? Yeah, isn't it?
yeah, I think so.
Okay, so some guy interviewing Michael Bay, he said, "Okay, why'd you have a drill team train to be astronauts when it'd be easier for astronauts to be trained as a drill team?" And Michael Bay literally just dead looked in his face, and said, "Shut up."
Yeah. It doesn't
yeah,
matter.
like,
The
it doesn't
film
matter, like,
isn't made for
that's
something
why.
like that. Yeah, exactly. No, I'm agreeing with you. He's like, that's exactly it. He's
Yeah.
right. This ain't like Sherlock Holmes 2, right? With like Robert Downey Jr. This isn't something like what is this called? This isn't like Citizen Kane. This
Exactly, like,
isn't.
This isn't anything highbrow or anything. It's literally just an action movie or a comedy movie, as what we're talking about right now. Just trying to get a few laughs out of people and have everyone have a good time.
Or I guess even this isn't the thing. This isn't Predator, right? This isn't
Yeah.
Halloween. Like this movie, the movie is definitely made for being
People
a
who just
popcorn
want,
film.
yeah,
And that's
People
what I
who-
can appreciate with it, right? Because newer directors nowadays will try to upend and say like popcorn films are a work of art, and like I do agree with like what Scorsese says with the whole like the example being like say with Marvel films being
Mhm.
popcorn is that like Michael Bay and these older directors know that they are made to be roller coaster films. They know it's not higher brow, where these
Yeah.
newer directors and people or Disney will say, no, this is totally art. These like action films, they're not.
yeah, no.
I agree with what he says.
Of course, I agree on some part what Scorsese says too. Like, oh yeah, the Marvel movies aren't real movies and like, they're more of a roller coaster type thing. But I mean, like, of course,
not real
yeah,
film.
but,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not real film. But I mean, yeah, it's not real film. It's literally just like it's kind of like an action piece. That's all there really is to it. Of course, there's a story behind it, and people who are invested in it are gonna find like the story behind it. But to just the average person, yeah, this is just a movie. You could turn your brain off to a little bit, enjoy some popcorn, and just that'll be it.
Yeah, I guess the example would be like, I don't know, if we ever did a movie, like a video on like the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe or whatever,
I wanna
would
say,
go,
like,
I would talk 20 minutes about it, where if it was
Yeah.
something like what is it, a Spider-Man 2 or like a Superman the first film, like I could or Dark Knight, that would be like double talking about 26 movies in a sense. And same with this, where it's like with Rush Hour, I could talk a lot about certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Where with what's it called, with
Endgame.
these newer comedies, I would say,
Oh,
there
yeah.
was one joke I laughed at. Oh, a lot of this is bad.
Yeah.
But with this, I could say like Yeah, like the Chinatown part scene is really good. The whole thing with like flipping the very casual way they like the almost subtle. It's weird to say subtle for a Rush Hour film, but the way they don't scream sometimes, like how they'll just talk about war,
Yeah.
or the way they would just like talk about flipping the FBI or like police, like what's it called, the police badge thing.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Like the
Oh, the
way they would
Notebook.
just the Notebook. Like the way they would just casually say that, like they're just co-workers or buddies, just kind of like
No,
shooting
actually,
the
wait. I
shit.
take that back. That was his badge. Like he flipped
Yeah, the
up
badge.
and that. Yeah, that was my bad.
Where the way they're like shooting the shit, and that's all they're doing. Like they're kind of having a casual conversation. Like that's not done in like more newer comedies because they
Mhm.
want to scream, make a sex joke, or fart. And it's so weird to say that with like, I don't know. I guess like a Rush Hour film, which is like a good comedy, but it's not amazing. Whereas like
Of
even
course.
these more average or okay comedies, I could say more about, and how
course,
there's
yeah.
some level of quality that I appreciate that they like did them. I don't know if they did improv for some of these scenes, but
I'm
the
pretty
way
sure
that the
they did,
writer
yeah.
did it, like they make they make the dialogue. It feels like these like characters are like more
Actual
real
characters,
people. Like they're more like it's the kind of thing where two buddies are just like
Of course, it's more like
talking.
it's not really the sense you're like, oh, you're seeing Jackie Chan play this guy, you're seeing Chris Tucker play this guy. It's actually probably just Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker having a normal ass conversation.
Yeah,
Just in a
like
sense
there's
like that.
there's that level where it's like if you watch like I mean I know everyone said this but because of the perfect example but like watch like an Adam Sandler film there isn't a second where they're not annoying farting or like they're not real people not real characters and the conclusions don't make sense to where it's like
Oh yeah,
this
well,
feels forced
that's
in.
that's like new age Adam Sandler, but like back in the day, like he was fine, he was decent.
No, I don't even like the only old age stuff I liked was like whew, not too
Yeah.
many. I had to watch them again. That's the only one I
Okay.
remember liking a sort of was like maybe Click.
Ah,
Maybe Click.
that was more
That's
like
what
his,
I'm
I think that
saying.
was more like his transition period. Like that was probably one of his last decent good movies. Really,
And that's
You
more
know-
for Christopher Walken. There's
Yeah.
mainly for Christopher Walken in certain setups, not even for Adam himself.
You didn't even like Big Daddy or anything like that.
I guess the other one I liked was like animation wise, but this is more when we talk about animated comedies. It's like
Uh-huh.
I do like the animation for Eight Crazy Nights, not the film
Okay.
itself. In a
Uh-huh.
weird way. Like the animation's really good. I forget who made it, but that'll be later on when we're not talking about Rush Hour because this is
Yeah.
about
Yeah, this is
Rush
about Rush
Hour,
Hour. Yeah.
obviously.
Okay.
But yeah, the other thing I really liked is like I feel like this was like one of the last films that
Mhm.
both of these guys made before they kind of became less relevant, especially after 3. After 3, Jackie Chan and like
Oh,
Chris
yeah.
Tucker, like nobody cares about him.
Well, I mean, Jackie Chan was in the Kung Fu Panda trilogy and everything.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He was only in 3 films.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why Chris Tucker is now more of a comedian than he's an actor, and Jackie Chan could basically retire off the royalties he gets from all of his movies.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah.
There's also. I actually don't remember any of the other like, I think I may have known maybe one of the actors in this too, but I forget their names.
Yeah, same here. Like, I know I would probably know them by their faces, but I just probably wouldn't be able to put a name to them. Well,
Yeah.
I feel like we talked all we can about Rush Hour. I mean, it's a pretty decent film, but all in all, it's like it's just funny. That's how it is. Like, not really much there to do like a whole deep dive about it.
I mean, the fact that it's a good trilogy, like the fact that this first one, like, also like the second one does actually the second one does lead into the first one pretty like well,
Yeah, that's true.
like how they connect the two, like that makes sense
Mhm.
how I see it. It was like this does make sense as the second film. It does evolve from the first one. It does
Mhm.
keep the same spirit, but while like knowing about like the differences and knowing what needed to be improved on and maybe what they wanted to change to not make it feel like the same film,
Uh-huh.
and the fact that wait, was it the same director for the second one or did they pick a different guy?
I think it might have been Brett Ratner also. I'd have to double check.
Okay. Yeah, that's another example where it's like, as long as the director remembers the tone or how the first director felt about it,
Mhm.
then it can like still work, right? It depends on how much the second director knew what the first director understood.
Yeah.
It's like how what people talk about with like Aliens or or like the other action films during that time. Whereas like as long as the second director kind of understood the first one or knew what they were good at and how to make a successor off of that, people will generally like it.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, that's about. I guess that's all we can say about Rush Hour 1. It's like if you liked it before, you'll probably still like it.
Of course.
And that doesn't seem like the kind of film you'd like.
Then just don't watch it.
Honestly, yeah. This is the kind of one where you might not like it, but
to each his own. That's all we gotta say.
Yeah, like they say, this isn't a film I would go up to bat for, but I will say, if a friend told me, hey, you want to watch it again, I'd say, why not?
Yeah.
This isn't something I'd recommend first, though. It's not like later on when we talk about these films, this ain't, I mean, we already talked about it, but
this ain't
a Dolomite, this ain't a Dolomite, this ain't a Naked Gun, this ain't something where I'd say, this is one of the first comedies you should watch.
Of course, yeah.
Like, this is one of the ones that is, like, amazing. But, I mean, that's all you want to say now, right?
Yep. Alright, then, guys, I guess that wraps up everything today. If you have comments, you know what to do. Everything else, you know what to do. And catch you guys in the next video. See ya.
See ya.